Homes live here with Bayut. Find real and authentic properties using TrueCheck. Download the app or visit Bayut.com.
Yeah, time now for us to focus a bit more on the housing market here. Off-plan, on-plan and any other plan you fancy. If you had $1 for every time you were asked over a Saturday or Sunday brunch, lunch or dinner, is this the right time to invest? Is this the wrong time to invest? We'd all be millionaires by now, Rodney. But one man who's got a better idea than others is Sam McCone, the managing partner of McCone Real Estate, who's been kind enough to join us live in studio this morning. Sam, good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So, off-plan market right now. Let's focus on Dubai if we can. We know this is an ever-changing landscape at present. You've heard there in a few of our headlines, the demand for property at present. What's your reading of the current sentiment in Dubai's off-plan market?
So, you have to understand that since COVID, Dubai has really emerged as one of the main cities in the world. And as a result, we see the population grow year on year. I mean, the figures Brandy was giving, they have 1,000 a day. You're looking at, 365,000 a year. That would be a 10% population growth on what we have today. And obviously, as that population grows, we need more property to cater to that increasing population. And so the demand is without a doubt there, and developers are taking advantage of that and using this time now to launch those products and to make sure that they sell. And in many cases, they do sell out.
In terms of investments, we know that off-plan investments have seen a bounce in interest globally around in recent years. But why is it so popular here? Is it just because of the lack of availability?
I would say that's one reason. Buying a property in the ready market can actually be quite a challenge. Yep. It can be challenging if you live in Dubai, let alone if you're an overseas investor, because viewings can be difficult because of tenants. The banks can be quite apprehensive to non-resident mortgages, so you're able to lend less. So naturally, any international buyer is always going to consider off-plan. But I think the other reason is because developers do such a great job of making those off-plan properties accessible to that clientele. They do that by the payment plans, by some incredible marketing that they do overseas. If you go to DXB today, you'll see posters of Bengati, Azizi, Damak, and so on. So they really do everything in their power to make sure that they're appealing to that international market, and therefore it's just such a big consideration for so many of those international buyers.
The only reason I've got a wry grin on my face is just it seems so incongruous, because we constantly talk about the impatience of all of us here. We want everything yesterday, not tomorrow, and yet people are willing to wait for off-plan, aren't they?
They're willing to wait for off-plan to be ready, but the beauty about off-plan is that you get to buy it today. So, in my opinion, it's a little bit more of a sales thing than anything else. I always think that buying off-plan, the best part of it is that initial period, the hype, the excitement, going through the brochure, speaking with your agent, the developer. It's all so fantastic. The developer sales offices are beautiful. And, before you know it, you've signed on the dotted line. The painful part of off-plan comes after the fact, the waiting 3 years, 4 years. And that's why I think one of my advice is to any client looking to buy off-plan. I've bought many off-plan properties in my time here in Dubai. My family has. I think it can be very, very attractive, but you just need to think a little bit long-term before making that decision.
Let's talk location if we can. In terms of demand for off-plan properties, apartments and villas, where's high?
Anything waterfront.
Right.
We know that the land is very scarce along the coast. So as a result, we've seen new communities like Dubai Island are performing very, very well. Other communities where big developers like Miras are doing some more sort of high-end developments, and they're selling at record prices per square foot. So I'd definitely say that the closer you are to the coast, the better. Villas across the whole Emirates are performing exceptionally well. But then your key areas, your Dubai Hills, your downtown Dubai Creek, Marina, any launch that comes in those type of communities will also perform quite well.
And I mean, with location comes cost implications as well. Demand based on costs, again, is that something that customers are looking at the moment, or are they just looking for location?
No, of course, a lot of off-plan is bought with the return on investment in mind, right? So they'll look at it. So JVC, for example, has been the best performing market in terms of numbers, in terms of number of transactions, probably over the last 3 years, I would say. And the reason that it continues to perform so well is that you can buy a one-bedroom apartment at 1.2 million. You can rent that apartment at 80,000. The numbers look good, right? The returns are quite attractive. So there's a lot of investors in off-plan that will look at that as a key criteria. Once you start going into the tier 1 or tier 2 locations, I would say it becomes more about the emotions of what the client actually wants. So they'll obviously still consider the figures. Naturally, we all do whenever we buy something, but I'd say it's more emotional than in the other areas.
It's so much to take. Let's talk developers if we can, because, you know, if you and I were having this conversation 5 years ago, Sam, we'd be choosing from a handful of developers or something, and they're those that are great reputations and those that have been in the market for a long, long time. Fast forward to today, and there are so many developers. I mean, it seems to be a developer from just about every nation in the globe out there targeting their particular customers. What's your advice on choosing the right developer?
So I'd say it's quite a tricky question. There's some developers like EMA, for example, that have stood the test of time, right? They've built some of the best master communities. You kind of know what you're going to get with EMA. It's quite reliable. But I would actually say that there is a lot of opportunity within some of the private developers, the newer ones to the market. And the reason being is that we as a company, we engage with quite a few of those developers on an exclusive basis. And we know that for a lot of them, they're less driven by the profit and they're looking to leave a mark on the market in some way. A really good example of this would have been Ellington back in 2014. So back then, they started building in Jumeirah Village Circle. They did a project called Belgravia, and they were really adamant about leaving something that the market really appreciated, and they delivered, and then they did second, third, and so on. And I think a lot of private developers are looking to follow that path as well. So I actually believe that sometimes you can be better off buying from a private developer where the focus is on the quality rather than on an established developer where they might be leveraging their brand in order to get a higher price that you're ultimately having to pay for.
So we've got 30 seconds left with you. Would love a forecast. Don't know if I've got enough time for that. One piece of advice and a forecast moving forward that people should take away specifically when it comes to investing in off-plan.
I think the first thing that you always need to do is make sure that you do your own due diligence. Right? At the end of the day, any real estate agent, myself included, we're salespeople, right? So we're always going to say what's needed in order to get that sales across the line. And as I said, real estate can be a very, very attractive proposition, but you need to make sure that you're just double-checking some of those figures because the last thing you need is to get caught in the wrong kind of investment that you're then stuck with for 3, 4, 5 years before you can even make any sort of an income.
Sam, bless you. Out of time on this occasion. We've talked for a lot longer. Sam McCone is the managing partner of McCone Real Estate, joining us live here on the show.